Hey there! Oh, easy there. This is going to be my response video to the open discussion. The people have commented and emailed me and written on the forum and made video responses, which I very much appreciate. Because so much is going on. The wedding tomorrow, my wedding. I'm here with the baby, and she just got up from her nap. I finally watched Jason King's Left-Hand Path video, and so this is probably going to have to take place with me holding her, because otherwise I won't have time probably until Sunday, and I'd like to get it done today. So hopefully you can bear with me, and she won't be too much of a distraction. Yeah. So why did I put that video out there? Because some people came at me or emailed me, or commented, and they were like, Venger, it sounds like you're losing your confidence, or, you know, it sounds like you're about ready to give up, or, you know, you're searching for answers, or something like that. Yeah, I am searching for answers, but no, my confidence is not shaken. No, I'm not giving up, or throwing in the towel, or whatever. I just think it's important to get more feedback on what people think of me and how people see me, because that's going to influence how I see myself and how I interact with the world. And since I'm very results oriented, I need to know what people are thinking, and you know, if I'm missing steps, and if I'm not explaining things right. So, and I just want to hear other people's thoughts, because that's going to influence me. You know, I'm not so crystallized that there's no room to absorb new knowledge, or to think of new things, or to see things in a new way. So yeah, it's not about me losing confidence. It was about opening dialogues and getting new opinions, new ideas, more feedback, in order to better move forward. Yeah, switched arms. She's heavy. Another thing, some people wrote in what the part of the open response, or open dialogue, whatever I named the video, where I talked about the diet, things like that. There was one woman who was very nice, very supportive. You know, she talked about things that she does and whatnot. She loves the earrings. And then at the end, she's like, well, you know, you could always go on Weight Watchers. Which I thought was kind of amusing. And then there's this guy named Dan on My Satan. That thread's gone. Too bad. And he was like, you don't even have the willpower to stop scarfing pizzas. Which, again, I thought was kind of amusing and sort of missing the point, I guess. You know, I guess I didn't like lift my shirt up and show people what I look like now. But it's not like I was or I am, because I made the video a week ago, horribly fat or something like that. I just want to make little improvements. You know, I want to go from, say, 9% body fat, ow, no, to 7% body fat. So if you look down, you know, I'll flex. So it's not like, you know, I am thin and lean and in shape in, you know, America's eyes. But, ow, I want to get a little bit better. I want to do a little bit more. If I can find some tricks or some sly maneuvers or what have you, to just do better, to maybe lose 5 pounds of fat, gain 5 pounds of muscle in the next few months or something like that, without, you know, without only eating chicken breast and eggs and fish like every single meal, or steak. Don't do that. You know, then I will. Then I'll look for those things. But I'm not fat, and I'm not out of control with my eating, so if people got that impression, that's not the impression I wanted to give. Okay, the wife-to-be, my fiance, just got home, so she took the baby, which is awesome, because this is going to be the meat of the video. My direct response to what Jason King was saying in his left-hand path video, which was awesome. I don't think anyone, looking at it now, yeah, no one disliked it. I'm going to like it after I'm done with this video. And I just got to say this up front. There's not much I can disagree with or point out that, you know, no, Jason King, you are wrong. What he said was, you know, he looked at things from a historical perspective, from the facts and the interpretations and the understanding of where this whole right-hand path, left-hand path thing began and how it's been carried on through the 20th century. Okay, pause. But what I want to do, or what I am doing, is, I guess, reinterpreting things from a 21st century perspective. Now, when I say reinterpreting, I think every individual has their own interpretation of the left-hand path or the right-hand path. They're going to bring different things to the paradigm or the dichotomy. They're going to bring different things to the table because every person is unique. So that's not what I'm talking about by interpretation. What I'm talking about is, you know, like I said before, very results-oriented, very action-based. What I want to do is I want to motivate people. I want to get people motivated. I want to get them to understand certain things and for them to take action. And that's why I took the left-hand path and the right-hand path dichotomy and I reshaped it a little bit. I fully admit that. I'm putting the old Venger Satanis influence on it, you know, making the Voorish sign, and I'm giving it a new angle, and hopefully a new lease on life. Because as it stands, very high-minded, very hair-splitting, very ivory tower, and I think Jason King did a great job going into, you know, the subtlety that goes into, you know, the origins and whatnot of the left-hand path and right-hand path. But how does that help the average practitioner or would-be practitioner? And down the road, how is that going to impact the masses? And I don't really mean that in a pejorative term. I mean the majority of human beings on this planet that probably aren't currently aware of, you know, the deeper philosophy and the esoteric and the left-hand path and all that stuff. But hopefully will one day. You know, are we just going to relegate ideas like the left-hand path, the right-hand path, to, you know, just contemplating our navel and, you know, things to think about when you're meditating? Or do we want a left-hand path movement to be a little bit more practical, a little bit more Western, and definitely actionable and results-oriented, you know, all about manifesting the will? So maybe I'm using the left-hand path a little bit arbitrarily, but you gotta use something and you gotta take something. And I liked a lot of what the left-hand path was about historically, the origins of that, and it meshed a lot with what I wanted to do. And so I guess I kind of usurped the left-hand path and its terminology and its aesthetics and whatever comes with it in order to do what I wanted to do. And that was shine a light on certain things and motivate people to try to become God themselves. I took some other notes So, let's see what I got here. Oh yeah, the antinomian aspects. I agree. That's, the whole taboos and breaking taboos, and keeping laws and breaking laws. That's, there's a reason that I don't include that in my own personal definition of the left-hand path. I think it worked well in Lords of the Left-Hand Path, that book, and for a lot of 20th century left-hand path practitioners within the Temple of Set and without. But at the end of the day, it didn't really serve the purposes I needed it to. So that's why I took antinomianism out. And instead, I threw in power and autonomy. And I thought that did a pretty good job of spelling out the essence of what early left-hand path practitioners were getting at when they said antinomian. Let's see. Oh, about, you mentioned the whole decree of heresy, and it's interesting because the heretical, as opposed to the orthodox side of the Cthulhu cult, that's something that I created. I developed and designed that because I knew there would be people within the organization, within the religion, that wanted, a little bit of more of one thing than the other. This way you could have apples, or you could have oranges, or you could have sort of an apple, orange, banana fruit salad. Everybody wins. But what TC, Downey, and Jason Sorrell did, this is coming from my perspective, way back then, over a year ago, I think, is they wanted to sidestep me and a lot of the structure and whatnot that I built into the Cult of Cthulhu and sort of do their own thing. And it could have been awesome, maybe, or it could have been disastrous. I didn't really know. And I felt they didn't give me an opportunity or a chance to really talk to them about this and touch base and set up some guidelines or some protocols or something to keep things from getting out of hand. And since then, what I kind of, because I've done a lot of thinking about it, and what I've likened it to is, if me sort of giving up a certain amount of control of the Cult of Cthulhu, which I guess sounds bad to some people, like, oh, you're a control freak or whatever. But if I had proposed that TC pack up his son's things and Jason Sorrell pack up his youngest child's things and put those children on a plane and sent them to me to the airport in Madison, Wisconsin, so I could pick them up, and they could spend like 2, 3, 4 months with me, and in that time I could pretty much do whatever I wanted. I could feed them wherever I wanted to, I could talk to them about whatever, I could teach them different things. For a while they would be my children. And then when I was done, either I would let the children decide what they wanted to do, or maybe I would send them back, and TC and Jason would hope that I left the children in better condition than when they were brought to me. That's kind of how I liken the situation of letting these two people take what I had created, my baby in essence, my child, and just sort of do their own thing without my input and without my parental control. So maybe put like that, some people can understand better what I went through and the agonizing and the weirdness that went through the whole decree of heresy incident. Okay, so moving on slightly from that, when the members or the students of an organization or religion or whatever rebel, where does it end? Yeah, that can be useful at certain times, but then the members and students of the rebellion will eventually rebel, and the disciples of those people will rebel, and it's just a recursion. It goes on to infinity. Like, where does it end? Like, you can't keep rebelling all the time from, every time there's a new law or a new orthodoxy or a new framework or way of doing things. You can't always rebel against that, and then the rebellion against that, and there's a rebellion against that, and then that, where does it end? That's just cyclical nonsense. If you're just rebelling for the sake of rebelling, eventually that's not going to get you very far. That's a very teenage, adolescent sort of thing. Necessary at times, but you got to know where to draw the line, where to say, no, there's a certain way that we do things, and there's not really a reason to rebel against that, because things are going pretty good. What else? So what I'm trying to do is translate the Eastern understanding of all this to a more practical Western understanding. Am I losing a little bit in the translation? Maybe. I mean, we can still have the high-minded, deeply philosophical ivory tower conversation about what each thing means and the subtleties involved, but when it hits the ground running, all that's probably going to go out the window anyway. If we're talking about a fight or flight response, I'm here to motivate people to fight. As if I was some sort of general or something like that, or a captain, or what have you. I'm training men to fight and women to fight. Fight those aspects of themselves that are getting in the way. Fight the powers that be that try to keep us in place. Fight some sort of divinity that wants us to be absorbed in our identities, our essences, or our souls, annihilated. I'm trying to fight against all that. And so if I've got to use a certain amount of rhetoric and hyperbole and fiery speech and whatnot, make things a little bit more clear-cut, a little bit more good versus evil, then so be it. And that's what I do. But it's all for a good cause. It's all for the betterment of mankind. Well, one thing I noticed towards the end of your video, Jason King, you kind of contradicted yourself a little bit, it seemed to me. If the individual going into God, or the God going into the individual, is the most important aspect, then you seem to focus on the establishment, and either being establishment or anti-establishment, and how that affects things, or how that relates to the left-hand path. If someone is left-hand path or it isn't left-hand path. Are you saying that it's both? That it's both either establishment or anti-establishment based, as well as divinity, the God going into man or the man going into God debate? Are both equally important? Is one more important than the other? I seem to think that the whole divinity business, the deification, the self-deification, is a whole lot more important than the establishment and the taboos and the laws or lawlessness. Hopefully a lot of other people agree. I think if the man goes into God, then there's going to be precious little left. Nothing that we can point to and say, that was me, or, I still have some sort of existence, or some sort of essence or soul left. I think you have nothing. But the God going into man, that's the complete opposite. Then man becomes God himself. And that is all important. That's the most important thing to me. Most important thing for Cthulhu cultists. And I support that wholeheartedly. And I think that's the driving force that keeps me talking and writing about the left-hand path and keeps me fighting the good fight. Yeah, Cthulhu Fatagan.